You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Body and Soul Gym in the heart of Talpiot. Great machines, excellent staff, and wonderful classes such as Pilates, yoga, and kickboxing. Give them a call at 077-822-1155. That's 077-822-1155. Or email them at gymclub@acom.co.il. That's gimclub@actcom.co.il. Make this the greatest year of your life. That's Body and Soul in the heart of Talpiot, which is great for your body and your soul.
Live from the AACI studios in downtown Talpiot, Jerusalem, it's Louis Live! And now here's your host, me, Yossi G. That's right, it's just gonna be me tonight. That's right, Ari Sweet Daddy Lou has the night off. He's decided to spend it out of town, so deftly has handed the reins to me. And I will do my best to bring you the entertainment. Now, what's a lot of fun today is, of course, we first have to mention to all of our listeners out there, all of our Australian listeners specifically, Happy Australian Day, or as you would probably like to hear, Happy Australian Day, mate. Yeah, it's fair dinkum, mate. I hope you had a good one. Straight off the bat, I mean, there was a fantastic match today in Australia at the Australian Open's semi-finals match in the tennis tournament there known as the Australian Open between rivals Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. Now, usually this type of tennis tourney has the lead up to just about whatever you want. I mean, there's great storylines. There's up and comers kind of going on and perhaps giving a good run, Cinderella stories, if you may. There's the big falls from grace and that sort of thing. When Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer get together and put their combined efforts into entertaining the masses, usually you're in for a good sight. You're in for a good afternoon, a good evening, a good morning, wherever it is that you're actually watching the two of them get it on, so to speak, on the court. However, it was in the semifinals, so it kind of took the luster out of it a little bit because it was not the finals. And nonetheless, this was still a fantastic match of which Rafael Nadal beat Roger Federer. And it was a match really where you would think perhaps this is the beginning of the end for the great Federer. I mean, he's won 16 Grand Slam titles, his record 16 Grand Slam titles. I mean, he lost in 4 sets to his longtime rival, Rafael Nadal. The Spaniard beat the Swiss gentleman 6-7, 6-2, 7-6, and 6-4, but improving rather his record over Rafael Nadal to 6-2 when they get head-to-head. And perhaps this is the beginning of the end. And it'll be interesting to see what happens between the two of them. I mean, Federer had 63 unforced errors. It was from time to time he seemed like a little teeny-weensy bit lazy, but nonetheless, it was a very entertaining matchup, as it always is, between these two great titans of their sport in today's day and age. And where they add up, where they match up, perhaps to some of the greats over the years, Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi. You can even go all the way back to perhaps when you had Billie Jean King and Rod Laver. But nonetheless, that is a question that I cannot answer today because, well, granted, those people, the latter people, they just don't play tennis anymore. So it did not fail to impress. It was a great match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was not able to watch the whole thing. I caught as whatever was of it I was able to catch, and was nonetheless entertained. Today's show is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be great. We're going to have, of course, as always, on Thursdays at 11 p.m. here in Israel Standard Time, and at 4 p.m. on the East Coast, Jim Williams from the Washington Examiner joining us via telephone to discuss the business of sports. But coming up after the first commercial break, which I will take momentarily, we will have on with us New York Rangers And currently playing for the Connecticut Whale of the AHL, Mats Zuccarello, the winger, the little Norwegian hobbit, the Zook of York, if you may, all the different nicknames that he used to have when he was playing in New York, and still has, if you ask me. Still playing there, thus far having a very good season. In 19 games for the Connecticut Whale, he's had 8 goals and 15 assists for 23 points, and he's doing very, very well, to say the least. But nonetheless, it's going to be a fun show. We're going to have your phone calls. If you want to reach me here in the Holy Land, it's 02563-1492, and of course from the old country, 301-850-2484. What can we say about the LA Lakers? I mean, really, what can we say? Between Kobe and Pau Gasol, Andrew Bynum, to name a few, well, they really don't want to give away the title of Kings of LA all that quick to the up-and-coming, the newcomers, the Clippers, the LA Clippers, their down-the-hall rivals there in the Staples Center. It was a lot of fun. It really, really was a lot of fun. You know, Pau Gasol really understood that the Lakers wanted Chris Paul over him before the season started, before, of course, the NBA got involved there with that trade. But listen, you know, he was happy to send CP3 scampering home simply because they won. They're full of fight. The Lakers as a whole, they're up there. I mean, this was a game that had, you know, Meta World Peace, a.k.a. Ron Artest, doing his thing. I mean, he's been awful pretty much for the season on three-point shooting, 6 of 38, just god-awful from behind the arc. But he came through this time. Derek Fisher looking pretty good in the purple and gold as versus his suit and tie that he wore so much over the course of the summer turning to fall of the NBA shortened lockout. NBA season shortened lockout, that is. But, you know, the game, this was the first time the Lakers beat the Clippers thus far this season. They lost twice to the Clip in preseason. They lost their first matchup about a week and a half ago. And this one, they were able to get it all together and really push the boundaries, if you may. Gasol went ahead at the end of the game and kind of rubbed CP3 on the head. Of course, CP3 did not take that too kindly and has some few choice words for Gasol after the exchange occurred and after the post game conference. He said that, you know, look, he thinks I'm a child. He better not treat me like a child because that's just not how we do it. But nonetheless, I'm going to take a commercial break here because it's about that time. I got to pay some bills. When I return, I will hopefully deliver to you the one that they call Mats Zuccarello from the former Hartford Wolfpack, from the Connecticut Whale, also tied in the New York Rangers minor league affiliate. You're listening to Louis Live, the SCG edition here on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Hey folks, Kagan here. As you know, I'm always staying on top of the fitness world, keeping up with current trends. One form of exercise that's been around for ages and is currently being rediscovered is suspension bodyweight training. So if you're looking for a way to get in shape, improve your health, and train your body to move in new ways, then the X1 by Israel Gym Systems is for you. Find out more on our website at www.israelgym.com or look for our page on Facebook, Israel Gym Systems X1. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed frequent flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Schutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Terry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 suspension and bodyweight training system. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.israelgym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live, the SEG edition. It's my pleasure to bring to the fans all over here in Israel, joining us via telephone from the US of A. Give it up a warm welcome here for Matt Zuccarello. Matt, how are you out there?
I'm good, thank you.
Gotta ask you, it's a little interesting considering what's been going on for you the past few months. You were up in the big club, and now you're down in the AHL. What's it like knowing what it was to play in the National Hockey League? What's it like now that you're in the American Hockey League? So as to what's that drive for you that you're given to try to make it back to the big show?
Obviously, it's a big drive. I've been up there. I played good when I was up there, and I know I can play there, and that gives me extra drive to try and perform so I can get the chance to play there again. It's probably the best time of my life when I played there, and I had a lot of fun. And obviously, it's a dream come true from coming from a small country like Norway, hockey-wise, and be able to play in the NHL. So. At the same time, when you play down here in the NHL, it's a great league. You learn a lot, and you're so close to be back there. So that gives you extra spark.
Now, describe your role that you have on the team in Connecticut. What's it like playing on for the Whale in Connecticut? What's going on down in Hartford?
Yeah, no. Just have to. My role is to be a leader and make it happen offensively. I've been injured for 7 weeks now, so that's been pretty tough. I had a good start of the season before I got injured, and was really happy about that. So that's a bummer, but I'm going to be back now soon and play, and hopefully things can happen and we can get back to the pace that I was before.
How long do you expect to be out before you get back onto the ice? How much longer do you think?
I'm going to play now tomorrow and see how it goes. And if it goes good, I'm playing Saturday. And I'm fortunate to be representing the Connecticut Whale in the All-Star game here on Monday. So that's going to be a great opportunity and something I look forward to.
Can you describe for us? I don't know what it's like to play professional ice hockey, and I'm sure there's a little bit of a difference between the National Hockey League and the American Hockey League. What's the difference that you find with the coaches between both leagues, some similarities, some differences, and how your coach has helped you to further develop your skills as a hockey player?
Well, like you said, this is more of a development league. Up there in the big club, it's almost no room for error, and down here you have a little bit looser. You want to get better. It's a great league to play in. It's a good league. Everybody who plays here has one goal in mind, and that is to go up to the big club. And it's a lot of young players who's going to play a long time in the NHL who's down here for development. And it's just coaches has a little bit of responsibility to set the best, to give you the best possible chance to play in the NHL, and that's why you don't have to be afraid of trying and fail. It's a learning process down here, but at the same time it's a really competitive league. Everybody plays hard and want to show something, so it's a tough league, I would say. But obviously it's a little bit more room for error and trying to do stuff and learn from that.
Now, I remember last season that Michael Del Zotto from the Rangers was sent down to the Hartford, then I believe it was the Wolfpack, now it's, of course, the Connecticut Whale, sent down for one season to basically hone his skills and become a better player at his position. And then he got the opportunity to come back to the Rangers and, of course, is there now. Do you think that you are going to have that opportunity once once the season comes to a close or even before the end of the season to prove yourself to the Rangers that you belong in the NHL?
I certainly hope so. That's why everybody plays. And I've been up there. I played almost 50 games and showed, especially last year, that I really can play there, and I play really good. But this year we have a lot of players up there who's a little bit more experienced and a little bit like that. So it's not much room for in the top lines where I'm supposed to play. So it's a little difficult situation, but at the same time it's a challenge. You know, I just have to show that I'm better than somebody up there, or that I'm good enough to play there. But at the same time, it's me knowing that I know I can play. I played last year and did good, and that's what gives me a little bit extra spark to want to get back there and show that I still can do it.
We're getting a chat in here from Derek from Tel Aviv. He wants to know, what is it like to have some of your other New York Rangers teammates with you in Connecticut? Is that familiarity good for you in Connecticut?
Of course. While you're down here, you want to do as well as possible for the team. This is the team you're playing on, and you want to win every game. You want to make the playoffs. You want to do a good playoff. You probably want to win the whole thing. So the better players are here. The better is for everybody to develop. If you play with better players, players who are experienced, who's played in NHL for a long time, you learn a lot, and so that's just a good experience, not just for me, but for all the other young guys who's on the team.
We're also getting another chat in now from Joe from Jerusalem. He wants to know why there was the name shortening. Your full name is Matt Zuccarello Asen, but on the professional level, you cut out the last part of your last name. What was the reason for that?
No, just to make it easier for everybody. And Zuccarello is my mom's name, and she's been a huge part of my career, and drove me to practice every day, and since I was little, and helped me a lot, and I've learned a lot from her. So I just want to take her name instead of the other one. So it's not just a big deal. I just want to make it simpler or easier for everybody who's going to say my name. So Zuccarello just fit fine, and I'd like to just show my appreciation to my mom about that. Now,
you started your career off in Norway, and then you went to Sweden, played for Modo in the Swedish Elite League. What is the difference, rather, between playing in Europe versus playing in North America?
It's a different style of game for sure, and I like playing in Sweden. I had a good 2 years there, but at the same time, this is the goal for everybody who plays, is to be able to have a chance to play in NHL, and so I have no problem going back there. in the future. But right now, playing here and play the high-paced tempo and a little bit more energized or whatever you say, and a little bit more hitting, and it's a little higher tempo. It's smaller rink, so stuff happens all the time. Sweden, we have a little bit more slow pace, but at the same time, maybe a little bit more skill and stuff like that. So it's kind of two different hockey.
Do you feel like there's more pressure on you to perform well in North America because you went undrafted and you were signed as an undrafted free agent by the Rangers, or is it because people think that you're undersized and can't make it in professional hockey?
No, I mean, there's no. The pressure is the pressure that I put on myself. I don't like to think about what everybody else thinks. I like to have a goal in mind and put the pressure on myself. And don't worry about everybody else. That's just gonna screw with your head a little bit. But
Right.
Obviously, you have the pressure yourself to want to be the best hockey player and play in the best league as possible. That's for sure.
Now, I was at the game where you scored, I believe it was your first career NHL goal at Madison Square Garden last year. It's an overtime, a game winner against Carolina. And describe that feeling when you scored it. It was like an almost impossible angle off to the right, to the left side of the goalie. It was a very difficult shot. Describe what that feeling was when it went in, and of course, winning the game for the Rangers.
I don't think you can describe that. You're playing in Madison Square Garden, most famous arena. You're playing for New York Rangers in NHL, and you're fortunate to score a goal like that. Your first NHL goal in overtime, and just thinking about it now, it's unbelievable to think about, and just a great memory that I would take here with me for the rest of my life. And just to see the excitement and how happy the guys was for me in the locker room after and on the ice there, and you can really see that they were happy for me getting my first goal too. And just in that setting too, overtime against Carolina, where we had a little battle for the last playoff spot with too. So no, it was just unbelievable. It's hard to describe the feeling you have.
Now, we're getting another chat in here from Yogi from Brooklyn. He wants to know that if it's clear to you that the Rangers are not going to give you, by the end of this season, another shot to make it in the NHL, to make it on their team, will you stay in Connecticut and try to prove to them that you can make it with the Rangers, or will you sign with another team and go play for another team in the NHL?
That's a decision I have to take after the season when the time comes. But obviously, I want to try and play in NHL and see if I can do it. I didn't come here to play in AHL, even though I've had a great experience playing here and learning a lot from it. But it's in the big league you want to play, so I would just consider what's best for me and see the chance I have. If there's another team who was willing to take a chance and want me to play there, and the Rangers didn't believe in me, so obviously that would be probably the best for my career. But at the same time, it's a hard decision. I really liked everybody here in Rangers, every teammate from in the big club and down here and everything like that. But at the end of the day, I gotta maybe think about my career and take a decision after that. But it's in the NHL you want to be, so I would consider that.
Now, I got to ask you, because I remember when you were playing in New York, it was when your first game that you were playing, and then when you had the first assist, I believe it was against the Islanders, and then, of course, when you scored your first goal, and becoming part of the team for close to 50 games with the Rangers, it was just around with the fans, with the media. Everybody was really, really excited about what you brought for your game, what you brought to the ice. What were some of the lessons or methods of playing that you learned from some of your teammates while you were with the Rangers?
No, just that you have to be on your A game every day. You can't be sloppy. I mean, it's so important for the fans, for everybody around the organization that you want to do well, and the fans is so great there too, and you want to do well from the fans. And like I said, it's not room for error up there. It's so many players who want to play there. So if you play bad, another player comes up and play great. So you have to be in your A game all the time. And obviously it's so big with the media and the fans and everything like that. So that was a little different, but at the same time, you got to enjoy it when you have the chance, and just be it and just. I'm playing in the NHL right now, and just enjoy the moment. And you never know how long it's going to last.
No, for sure. That's definitely probably the best positive outlook that you could have about it. Now, I got to ask you one last question before I let you go. What's the biggest adjustment that you've had to make from coming over from Europe to play in North America? You're not of the bigger-bodied players in the NHL, or rather the AHL. What were some of the adjustments that you had to make to play in order to have for your keys to be successful on the ice?
Just trying to do things faster that I'm used to. Everything got to go fast, so I can maybe outsmart or outthink the bigger players, and be quick on my skates to get out of hits and stuff like that. Obviously, you're going to get hit, but just a quickness and be smart in everything you do, and that I think I approved of that. I proved from coming from Sweden to here that that's a big part of the game, that you have to be smart and you have to be quick.
Well, Mats, I definitely thank you for your time, and it was much appreciated. We know you're a busy guy, and we wish you much success and luck when you're coming back from your injury and taking the bull by the horn, so to speak. And we'll look forward to seeing you again in New York playing for the Rangers at Madison Square Garden.
Thank you very much, and hopefully I can see you there.
All right, take care now.
Thank you.
That was Matt Zuccarello from the Connecticut Whale. Playing there right now. Well, actually, you heard from him himself. He's injured currently, but looks to getting back to shape, into form, so as to give a run for his money, to give rather the Rangers a run for their money, all the players on their team, because he wants to play in New York, and I, as a New Yorker, I love to see him playing in New York as well. And to have him back would just be a lot of fun. He's definitely a spark plug on the team last season while he was there. And yeah, he's a fan favorite. The crowd loves him. It would be a lot of fun to see him be successful in New York. It's the toughest place to play, but like in the song New York, if you can make New York, New York, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. With that in mind, I'm going to take a commercial break. You're listening to Louis Live, the SEG edition, here on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Hey folks, Kagan here. As you know, I'm always staying on top of the fitness world, keeping up with current trends. One form of exercise that's been around for ages and is currently being rediscovered is suspension bodyweight training. So if you're looking for a way to get in shape, improve your health, and train your body to move in new ways, then the X1 by Israel Gym Systems is for you. Find out more on our website at www.israelgym.com or look for our page on Facebook, Israel Gym Systems X1. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed Frequent Flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Shutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Terry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 suspension and bodyweight training system. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.israelgym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live, the SCG edition. It was that was great. Not every day do you get to talk to NHL players, or in this case, the current AHL player, Matt Zuccarello, trying to work his way back to the big club, to the New York Rangers, currently playing in Connecticut with the Connecticut Whale. But look, it's great. He made time. He came on. It's good stuff. He's from a little country called Norway. It happens to be fairly long country. I was there once a couple years ago in Oslo, and it's nice. I have to say, it was during the summer, so definitely not as cold or snowy or nasty, brutal, windy, raw as it probably is now during the winter. But it's kind of cool to go there during the winter. I hear they have the Northern Lights, and that's spectacular in itself. Speaking about spectaculars, person who had a pretty good career, but of course, as we know, he had all good things must come to an end. So, Jorge Posada, hip hip Jorge. Yes, that's right. The fans here, they loved Jorge Posada, watching him play. That's for sure. And Jorge had a really, really good career in New York with the Yankees, 17 seasons in New York, and spent them all there. Spent them 17 seasons in the Major League Baseball, so spent them all in New York. It's really good. And instead of coming to the tantalizing urges of staying in New York or, kind of seeing what he could do, maybe come off the bench, have a further reduced role, but still to stay in New York with the New York Yankees, or going to perhaps Tampa or the former Florida, current Miami Marlins, to go there as a full-time DH or even a backup catcher. He used keen, solid, and sound judgment in choosing retirement over the oft nomadic lifestyle of an aging superstar, as we've come so accustomed to seeing throughout sports. And it was really good, to see him, what he did in the house that Ruth built, and now in the bigger house that Steinbrenner built right next door to the old house. What he did for the Yankees, he joins a club of Bernie Williams and Andy Pettitte as being the third of 5 core players that spent most of their careers, in Andy Pettitte's career, most of his career, with the Yankees, but who were there from 96 through the year 2000, when the Yankees won 4 of 5 possible World Series, and they should have won. They should have definitely not been knocked out by the Cleveland Indians in '97, because granted, I believe it was Roberto Alomar, his slide started after home plate, even though the home plate umpire called him safe. Nonetheless, he joins the other 2 as the trio, and that leaves basically just Derek Jeter, and of course the wonderful, the great, the supreme, the superb closer for the Yankees, Mariano Rivera, as the only 2 remaining relics from that former dynasty. What Jorge Posada did for the Yankees was fabulous, because not only did he play with his heart on his sleeve, emotions raw, veer, always ready, willing, and able to put himself ahead of the team, put his body on the line to block a plate from a player trying to barrel into him and jar the ball loose so he could be safe at home. Or if it was coming up with that clutch RBI, the clutch base hit as he did in 2003 in the ALCS to force extra innings against Pedro Martinez in the bottom of the 8th inning against the Red Sox. He was there. He was that guy that you rooted for, whether you liked the Yankees or not. You wanted him to do well because he was just such a good guy. You could kind of relate to him and the type of person that he was. He was going through personal adversity with regards to one of his children who was ill. And, of course, he and his wife set up various institutions, foundations for that disease to help to further research for it. But he was a genuine good person, and he's gonna be missed with genuine sadness. He will be missed. We're now have gone from the core four with Pettit and Posada and of course the aforementioned Jeter and Rivera. Most likely, it's just going to be a dynamic duo for the next year or so, and possibly just ending up with a solo act starring Derek Jeter after Mariano at some point decides to retire. But he really, really did some great things, and he was a primary force that kept the Yankee train, the Yankee locomotive, so to speak, on track through 28 playoff series and 13 seasons with 90 or more victories en route to 4 world championships since 1997. At the conclusion of spring training every year, it could almost guarantee Jorge was going to hit, give or take, 20, 25 home runs, drive in about 80 runs, and catch almost probably about 3/4 of the season behind the home plate for the Yankees, who are always a perennial contender for the World Series. They're always a contender for making the postseason now. Even though, yes, Derek Jeter is a captain and he's the embodiment of the Yankees, and whenever you say Yankees, you think of Jeter. But Posada is going to always be remembered for the tenacious spirit and mentality that he played for while he was on the Yankees. Always there. He was an all-star 5 times, and he was gritty, and played with a fiery passion and a blue-collar mentality. And he brought that to the ballpark every single day. I mean, you just look at what he did for the Yankees. Yes, there's the glitz and glamour of New York, but he never got caught up with it. He always kind of maintained his balance and found a good way, a good middle ground for himself as a family man, as a person. And yeah, if you have to describe what Posada's career was like in 2 words, I would just say it was, grinding it. He went for it. He dug deep. He dug deep. But yes, he's probably not as elegant as some of the other players, or not as immensely gifted as some of the 4 past Yankees of past who have played in pinstripes. But nonetheless, he was constantly in the understanding and recognition of what the Yankee tradition was and the manner in which business was to be conducted while in pinstripes on a daily basis. Did not tolerate laziness or complacency. He adhered to the values that are New York, that are the New York Yankees. And he was, we saw stubbornness from him once in a while, temper. But yes, although Jeter's leadership style was, kind of based more on the slogan, on the mantra of actions speak louder than words, Posada had a great vocal approach towards the various teammates and opponents, an aggressive approach at that, in the way he conducted business. Now, skipping commercials, we're going to go straight to the phone lines, open up the phone lines. You can reach me here in Israel, 025631492, and from the old country, 301-850-2484. And it looks like we have a caller. Caller, you're on Louis Live, the SCG edition.
SCG, it's Deep Voice Brian, the voice of Baltimore sports, the depressed voice of Baltimore sports.
Deep voice, baby. What's going on, man? Must be a past really tough couple of days for you.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, it gets even a little hairier too with Chuck Pagano going to the Colts. And but the Ravens are used to this kind of thing, having 4 defensive coordinators be hired by other teams. And the next in line will most probably be this our linebackers coach, which interestingly enough is Dan Pease, from the New England Patriots.
Well, with the hiring that the Colts made, this just goes to show you, the depth of where Baltimore has and where they go with their defense, that is the number one thing on the Ravens. And it also brings forth an interesting question now, what is going to happen with Peyton Manning, because this hire really seems as an essential clean house job.
Well, I think there's no doubt in my mind now that Peyton Manning is playing for the Dolphins next season.
Oh, well, that's going to be a lot of fun to watch as he goes back to the Eastern Division, going up against the Patriots and the Jets and the Bills again. But that, of course, remains to be seen. It's the big question that Jim Irsay is going to have to answer come the second week of March. Is he going to pay Peyton all that money for a possibility that he's going to play again, or will he allow him to become an unrestricted free agent? I got to ask you, I'm watching this game.
Yes.
I'm watching your Baltimore Ravens in the end of the fourth quarter, and you knew this was coming, so you got to be. I hope you're prepared for this. They're playing.
Yeah.
They're playing on offense. They're driving. They have an opportunity to beat the New England Patriots and turn what was a slightly sloppy game into a gem of an ending. And Lee Evans cannot hold on to the football. Now, I got to ask you.
Mainly a sloppy game by the Patriots. There are 3 turnovers, just completely outplayed in every statistic. Usually it's the Ravens winning games like that a couple times against the Tennessee Titans late in the playoffs. But, yeah, the last drive, I mean, it just came down to individual moments. As much as this is a team sport, it came down to 2 individual plays that were just not made.
Now, was that play, or lack thereof, by Lee Evans more the fact that Lee Evans couldn't hold on to the football, or was it more because of the Patriots D-back punching the ball out and causing for what ended up being a missed field goal attempt?
Oh, yeah, see, I like to always give credit where credit is due. I got to say a little bit more Lee Evans not making the catch because it's a fundamental thing that you make a catch. These defenders are good in this league. You got to grab that ball and tug it into your body and complete the catch. But I do like to give credit where it's due, and there's always a chance that a bone receiver is not going to know how to catch a ball in a big moment. And give credit to him for at least trying. I think football's about percentages, and there's a chance you whack your hand down that the ball's going to come out because the receiver's going to make a mistake.
Now, Billy Cundiff, of course, he didn't make the field goal, and we know what the ensuing drama or melodrama that occurred. Walk me through this. Cundiff is uncertain, as we find out a little later on, because the scoreboard in Gillette Stadium says that he's only on third down. He's got another down with which to work, and suddenly the coaching staff is screaming at him, get over here, get over here. He runs onto the field, and the snap is good, the hold is good, the kick sails away. It is no good. Hooks it completely. Now, when the ball was snapped, there was about 1.5 seconds left on the play clock. Why didn't Coach Harbaugh call and use his final timeout to give his kicker the ability to get himself straight?
No, that's a good question, and I'm kind of on your side with things. Huge chatter this week on our talk radio stations here in Baltimore. Everybody's talking about these subjects, and I'm not hugely one way or the other. I do believe a timeout should have been called. There was a lot of miscommunication going down. I am not going to blame, for instance, the scoreboard conductors or whatever on the field where it was said that maybe when it was supposed to be second down, it showed first down. It was supposed to be third down, it showed second down. Billy Cundiff, as all kickers do, every down they go through different motions on the sideline, and he was coming out as if there was more time on the clock than he thought, and at the end he had to run on. And yes, if there was more time and the coaching staff had maybe specifically maybe even the special teams coach had seen that scenario, he would have gotten over to Harbaugh as quickly as possible. But a very frantic situation. And there's possibly blame to go around, but it's hard unless you have a real insider approach. Hard to really see what happened. At the end of the day, a lot of excuses can be made, but still, it was extremely hurried, but not crazy to the point where the guy still couldn't have made the kick. This was a chip shot kick, which is probably made between 95 to 97% of the time by kickers. And at the end of the day, the bigger question to me is it seems laughable at this point that this kicker is going to get to stay around Baltimore. Because to me, this is a guy that prevents you from going to a Super Bowl, but that just says how good Cundiff is. But also this season, there's been other things about Cundiff. The guy was signed for a five-year, $15 million contract. It's one of the biggest contracts.
Huge.
A huge contract, and it was because, if you remember last season, the man had the most touchbacks in the NFL, which was a huge thing because last year that was before the ball was placed at the 35.
Right.
But late in the playoffs this year against Houston and in this game, I remember New England running out just about every kick. And that was not just a thing that happened in the playoffs because you could say the air is cooler late in the season. It's not as easy to kick the ball. A credit to a guy like Gostowski, for example, who got that. That was a touchback most of the time, and that was actually a big difference in that game was New England's starting position. Just the fact that the Ravens' defense were able to hold New England seeming like every time they started on their own 40-yard line. It was unbelievable.
Well, you could also say that because you're kicking from the 35-yard line, it gives the runner in the end zone an opportunity that even though he's going to catch the ball in the end zone, that he could still run it back. The only way you're going to get a touchback by a guaranteed touchback is by kicking it out of the end zone, kicking it into the stands, doing whatever so that the runner does not have the opportunity to catch it, put his fingers on it, nothing. Even if he kicks it into the back of the end zone, you could still run it back 109 yards.
Absolutely. But rest assured, last year, Cundiff was kicking these balls like New England's kickers. So back far of the end zone, you really don't have a choice. Either rolls out or basically you're straddling the line when you catch the ball, which is often the case on the other side in that game. But Cundiff was given this huge contract. He's a Pro Bowl kicker, and then this year he was actually one of 6, I believe, from 50 yards or longer. They didn't even have enough confidence in him. I was yelling in the, watching the game over here, why is Cundiff not trying this kick? That was the drive before that final drive that the Ravens had. And they elected instead to go for it on a 4th and 6 and drawled up some kind of I don't know what they drew up, but it ended up, as you remember, Vince Wilfork tugging on Flacco's jersey and Flacco just heaving it to the sideline. And that was really, and that's the reason you ultimately cannot blame Lee Evans and Billy Cundiff, because there are other plays during the course of the game. For instance,
oh no, we know that. We know that, with regards to the Boise State Broncos last couple of seasons, everybody's blaming the kicker. Oh, it's the kicker's fault. He missed a kick at the end of the game, therefore they don't have an undefeated season, therefore they don't have a shot at busting the BCS. But no, you look at the game, there's plays throughout the game where you're going to point and say, hey, we could have gotten a first down there. Why was the pass dropped? It was in the guy's breadbasket. Why didn't the guy try to dive for the ball? Why didn't he give an extra effort to try to make that completion? Different things that, of course, end up leading to that, hey, that's all the kicker's fault. But moving along now from the past, I want to talk about the future. Yes, we're gonna go. I'm gonna be that big. We're gonna get the future thing going on over here. What do you see as the keys for both the Patriots and the Giants to win come Super Bowl Sunday in a week and a half?
Nice. Well, although it's going to be a rather depressing Sunday for me, I look at the game like this. I look at the way the Patriots played against us, and I say if, the Giants do have that defense that sometimes can come in there and perform. I'll be honest, I'm not an incredible NFC enthusiast there, but I see with the Giants' offense, if their defense come to play, their offense can definitely hang with the Patriots if the Patriots are able to do what they usually did, because rest assured, the Patriots aren't going to score just 23 points in this game here. I see this game being scored in the upper 20s into the 30s possibly.
And it's going to be a very interesting thing because last go-around between these two teams in the Super Bowl, it was the Giants getting to Tom Brady without having to call that many blitzes. And it was just the front four getting to him over and over and over again, really rattling him and allowing for the Giants to end the Patriots' picture-perfect season. Who do you have as winning in this big game, and what's the score?
I'm honestly going to have to take the Giants 33, Patriots 30.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Coming down to the wire, I suppose, as well. Where are you going to be watching it? At home, at a party?
As the game should.
Where are you going to be watching the game?
Well, actually, The Voice right now is doing a little thing down in Baltimore. We got Dougie's Restaurant down here. I'm not trying to advertise the name. It's pretty cool. We got that good New York kosher food down here, but I'm actually going to be watching the game over there.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Deep Voice, I got to ask you one last question before you go.
Yes,
sir. Where do the Ravens finish next year?
Look, the Ravens, if they proved anything against the Patriots, it's that, all the analysts coming into this game were expecting the Patriots to win in the area of into the 30s, 35 to 20. The Ravens proved that they deserve a little bit of respect moving forward. Ray Lewis is going to be back. Flacco, although he's not an elite quarterback, he proved in that game that he's our quarterback. He's a Ravens quarterback. And what that means is we're going to continue to run that ball with Ray Rice. Ray Rice should be rewarded with the lengthy extension in the off season that he deserves, being one of the most versatile backs in the league. Haloti Ngata's back. Haloti Ngata, by the way, everybody watched New England do all that running on us. That was extremely rare. Haloti Ngata was playing off the last few weeks of the season with an injury that not a lot of people talked about. He just wasn't himself. Our run defense is going to be back. I'm sipping a little bit of purple Kool-Aid here, but the interesting thing about the Ravens is they have those solid veterans, but like the Patriots, and I do give the Patriots credit.
Will Ed Reed and Ray Lewis come back next year? I'm hearing chatter that they'll probably.
Ray Lewis said he's coming back. Ed Reed is always an enigma in Baltimore. There's a very good chance he retires. He has that lingering pain, spinal neck situation that he'll turn it on in those big games. But do you want Ed Reed just playing the big games? Because as this season proved, that home game is big. And if that game was played in Baltimore, it might be a little different. I'll tell you something. I love Ray Lewis. We all know how good he was and that he's arguably the best linebacker to ever play this game. Certainly, probably, we can say the best middle linebacker ever to play the game. But these guys, if they showed up a little bit more against these teams like Jacksonville and Seattle, that game could have been in Baltimore, and that could have been a big difference. But, yes, I expect the Ravens to win the AFC North next year. it's going to be an extremely difficult schedule. As it's shaping up for the AFC North will actually battle the NFC East, which should be better than it was this year. And the Ravens are actually going to have a rematch with New England at home next season, and I'm sure we all hope that's going to be a Monday Night Football game.
I'm sure ESPN's already going to claim that before the NFL puts out their schedule. But Deep Voice, always a pleasure. Always fun talking to the voice of Baltimore sports. Thanks so much for joining us here on, forget Louis Live, on the Yossi G edition.
Well, I love the Yossi G solo. I love Ari on the show, but you're doing an all job, man, and thanks for having me as usual.
Pleasure's all mine. Have a good one. And Shabbat Shalom.
Good night. Shabbat Shalom, brother.
Take care, Deep Voice. Well, that was Deep Voice Brian, the voice of Baltimore sports, joining me here on Louis Live on the SCG edition. I'm going to go take a quick commercial break, and when I return, on the other side of this commercial, Jim Williams from the Washington Examiner. You're listening to Louis Live, the SCG edition, here on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Hey folks, Kagan here. As you know, I'm always staying on top of the fitness world, keeping up with current trends. One form of exercise that's been around for ages and is currently being rediscovered is suspension bodyweight training. So if you're looking for a way to get in shape, improve your health, and train your body to move in new ways, then the X1 by Israel Gym Systems is for you. Find out more on our website at www.israelgym.com or look for our page on Facebook, Israel Gym Systems X1. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed frequent flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Shutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Harry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 suspension and bodyweight training system. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.IsraelGym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live, we give our thanks to Deep Voice Brian for joining us here, calling in on Louis Live, the SCG edition. Joining us now via phone from the Eastern Seaboard, rather from Washington, D.C. area, Jim Williams. Jim, how are you out there?
I'm fine, and you are correct, Eastern Seaboard. It works.
All right. Well, Jim, I got to ask you straight off the top. We have a new signing in Tampa, Greg Schiano, former Rutgers head coach. What does that now do for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in terms of player personnel next season? What to look out for, where the Bucks find themselves with this signing?
Well, I think, another signing of a defensive personnel. Greg is somebody who was a disciple of Bill Parcells, and somebody who, went into college ranks and did well at Rutgers. And I think that it's someone who, it's an interesting hire, but we'll see how it works out. I think from Tampa Bay standpoint, they might have been more interested. I'm talking about the fan base. Might have been more interested in seeing them hire some more of an offensive-minded coach, but it seems like the powers that be at the Buccaneers felt that their bet was to go with Greg, and he's a talented coach, and we'll see how it works out. We'll see how he fills out his staff.
Well, many talking about with what's going on with the. Well, of course, with the Bucks, we also know what's happening with the Indianapolis Colts. They also signed a new head coach. They inked Chris Pagano, the former Ravens defensive coordinator, for to take the reins in Indy. This is essentially a clean house job that Jim Irsay has done. Where does that leave Peyton Manning? Is he on the outside looking in, or is he just going to stay outside?
Well, I think what they're doing is making things uncomfortable for Peyton. And uncomfortable in a way where signing the originally, I thought that the Colts, desperately wanted to keep Peyton. I think the Colts would like to keep him, but I think that this is the tide's beginning to change on this, and that Peyton may very well choose to say, you know what, I think that, this isn't going to work, and maybe it'll be in our best interest to, if you're going to tear it down and build it up from square one, maybe it's best that, to move on. And so perhaps that's what Irsay is trying to do, is to get, Peyton to, to a point where he comes in and says, I don't want to be part of this yet. But I don't think he's quite there yet. I don't think that he feels that the Colts are his team and that they're still, a viable presence in the National Football League. But, how much longer that happens, I don't know, and I think I'd hold it. Chuck Pagano is a good man. He's a very good coach, and I think that Peyton and Chuck would get along fine. I don't think that's going to be a problem, but, Chuck is going to have to sit down there and decide, of course, there's going to be a general manager involved, there's going to be assistant coaches that will be hired, so there's a lot that is left to be done, and I think the tipping point here is if you see Chuck Pagano reaching out to Peyton Manning, getting Peyton's input on who he would like to see offensive coordinator, and also other coaching suggestions from Peyton, that might be the beginning of us seeing that the Peyton and the Colts are staying together. If there's no open dialogue between Chuck and Peyton, then I think we see the possibility. The speculation rampant on 5 or 6 different teams that that might aid Manning. So I still think he wants to stay in Indianapolis, but I think he's beginning a little more open to the idea of maybe moving on.
Now, we're going to save the best for last, that being talking about the Super Bowl and getting some of your thoughts on the upcoming big game. Today's Australia Day, the Australian Open semifinals match between Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. I actually caught some of it today. Always, they never fail to deliver on the hype between whenever the two of them meet each other on the court. Of course, Nadal bests Federer in the semis, and he's now 6-2 against Federer in Grand Slams head-to-head. Is this the beginning of the end for Federer?
I don't know that it's the beginning of the end for Federer, but I think that what it is Rafa is finally beginning to a point where, at one point he feared Roger, and I don't think he does anymore. And I think that at this point in time, his game is such that, he started off being a fantastic player, and then he had to learn to be better on grass. Then he had to learn to be better on the composite surfaces like the Australian Open and the U.S. Open. And so it's basically the maturation of Rafa Nadal into a complete tennis player on all surfaces. And I think at the same time you're seeing, let's face it, Roger's not getting younger. And so you've got a much younger Rafa playing a still very competitive, because obviously I watched the same match that you did, competitive Roger Federer, who just seemed to not be able to the key shot at the right time. But then you've got guys like Djokovic, who's come along, and he's definitely shown an ability to play tennis at a high level. And then everybody always wonders, as we do, when and if Andy Murray's going to make the next step, and if indeed that next step is going to come soon, it wouldn't be a bad place to do it for him at the Aussie Open. So we've got some definite openings here, where things should be interesting. And on the women's side, we have a very, very entertaining final.
Now, I got to ask you this. I saw this came over my feed, at least today. Mark Cuban making a statement regarding Olympic basketball that it's, quote, meaningless. What do you make of that? I mean, I know he's a businessman and all, and he wants to get compensated in case one of his star players go to the Olympics and gets injured. What do you make of his wanting the Olympic basketball to go more towards the 21 and younger tournament?
I think Mark is voicing the situation that some owners HL did with regards to Olympic hockey, and that was that they really felt that that it was being played by professionals, and it was no longer the purest of the sports situation. I think that, but if you look at it, look what, since in 1994, when Stern took the original Dream Team to Barcelona, he said, when asked by one of the writers there, what's the goal in 10 years from now? He said, the goal in 10 years from now is to have somebody beat us, which, I looked at him like he was crazy, but he said the better the talent pool gets on the world in basketball, the better it is for the NBA, because we are the world league. And, we all know what, how hockey is benefited by, the Olympics, and all know how basketball is benefited by the Olympics. We have a worldwide sport that has grown and flourished quite well. And so, Mark's that it's not, he would like to see it at 21, I think basically goes to more of the point that he doesn't want to see anybody on the, any member of the Dallas Mavericks injured, because it's still big time box office at the Olympics to have the top players play, and you want to see the top players play. I'm not sure that I want to see an under 21, basically college basketball situation from around the world.
Now, staying on the dollars and cents portion of the NBA, the Los Angeles Lakers this week unseated the New York Knicks as the most valuable franchise in the NBA. What does that say about the Knicks? They haven't been really good this year. A lot of the hopes and dreams that came with the Carmelo Anthony trade haven't really panned out. What does that say about the way James Dolan is running the team, or lack thereof?
Well, I think it shows that the Laker brand has basically become a national, international brand. I think that the Staples Center replaced Madison Square Garden as being the place to go for basketball. I think that the city of Los Angeles has been and always will be a bigger basketball city than New York is. I think right now that what Buss has done and started with Jack Kent Cooke and moved on to when Dr. Buss took over, that the Lakers brand and the Celtics brand have been the two best brands in basketball, and I think that that the reason that the Knicks are not in the picture is that the Knicks are relative only because of the market. They haven't been relative, only because of the market. They haven't been relevant in championships, in forever. So, if you're not winning championships, you're not relevant. And the Lakers, have proven that they can do it. And as I say, the Staples Center has become, basically a much more stronger market brand for the basketball situation. And last night I enjoyed watching the Lakers and the Clippers play before a full house at the Staples Center. And now you've got teams in Los Angeles who, draw full houses in the building.
Well, there's definitely no longer that $10 tickets that you can get to the Clippers that you used to get about 2-3 years ago, that's for sure.
Not at all.
But I got to ask you about that game, actually. At the end of the game, Paul Gasol goes ahead and gives like a little, head rub to Chris Paul, and of course they exchange a couple of choice words shortly thereafter. When asked about it, Chris said that he doesn't like being treated as a child, and in turn, when Paul was asked about it, he said it's a complete misunderstanding. What do you make of this whole head-rubbing incident, if you may?
Well, I think that it was in the heat of the moment. There's now a budding rivalry there. There wasn't a budding rivalry before. And I think that that's the beauty of it, is now that now these two teams don't really like each other, and now they're fighting tooth and nail to win that division. And I think that Powell is trying to get in Chris's head. He's an old veteran, and he knows what to do to get under the skin of somebody, and he just wants to tweak Chris and get him off his game. And I think Chris is, trying to respond by saying he's not going to have any of it. I think it's very entertaining, and I think that I wouldn't make much of it. I think it really back to a situation of guys using different tactics to get in other guys' heads, and I think that Paul's a master at it, and it'll be interesting to see how this whole Lakers and Clippers thing played, as they really are going to be dueling all the way down to the end, I think, with regard to who wins that division. And that, and as I said before, LA is one great basketball town, and I'm sure that they're going to enjoy every game between now and the playoffs.
Well, it definitely will be a lot of fun to watch, and there are the possibilities of the same thing or similar thing happening on the East Coast in New York when the Nets move to Brooklyn will also run rampant with that as well. In order for the Knicks to become a little better, now I did not like the trade for Carmelo Anthony when they were first talking about it, what they had proposed, and then, of course, the Knicks kind of just went ahead and bet it against themselves, up the ante against themselves, and just paid more to get Carmelo. What's going to happen first, in your opinion? Do you think that the Knicks are going to fire Mike D'Antoni, or is Steve Nash going to take a mid-level exception to come to New York next year and lead an O without a D, while simultaneously hindering the development of rookie Iman Shumpert?
I don't know. I think that if the Knicks can go on the trajectory they're going at the moment, if it were me, and it's not, I never really thought that D'Antoni was the guy for them in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I would definitely make a change of coach and try to find somebody who could sit down and rework that lineup, because that lineup that is really not built to win a championship. It's there's talent on the lineup, but there's not depth, and there's also there's not 5 quality players on that basketball team that in the 5 quality spots, and that's unfortunately for the Knicks that's a huge problem. So I would opt for the D'Antoni thing. I don't know what Nash is going to do to help. I mean, I'm a big Steve Nash fan, but I just don't know at this point in time in his career what Steve needs to do to help you to help the Knicks win. I don't see that's going to be a big push in the direction. Having Steve Nash on your team is never something that's going to hurt you.
Right.
Know that having Steve Nash on a team is going to greatly, move them to a level that would put them on the same level as a Heat or a Bulls or Sat. I mean, they're light years behind those two teams.
Well, it seemed that if they would go after Nash, it would be more of a rental, because between he and what you have left in Amari Stoudemire's tank, it's probably not going to be that long, considering when Amari Stoudemire came into the league and how long he's been playing for. But keeping with the NBA theme, now I just want to tie in a little bit with the National Hockey League. I'm going to dub this as Championship Week, where what seemingly happened in the White House, where you had both the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics and the Boston Bruins coming to visit Mr. Obama, coming to visit the president in his house. What's your take on both Delonte West and Tim Thomas not being in the White House, but for two different, very, very different reasons? What is your take on both of them?
Well, I mean, you have the right not to, if you have a political bent and you say that, that you're making a protest, it's up to Tim Thomas. That's up to anybody who doesn't want to show up. I think that they're missing, however, the point, and the point is not political. The point is that you're being recognized, at the White House, as so many other franchises have been by a number of different presidents who, even the owners have been at odds with the president that they've gone to the White House.
Well documented with that.
It is an honor to go to the White House and to be recognized for your accomplishment. I think that Tim, in my own personal opinion, on a wonderful opportunity, regardless of whether he wanted to meet President Obama or not, it's the fact that in the White House, to be part of that whole picture-taking celebration of winning the Stanley Cup and having the opportunity to be recognized as in that circumstance, I think is the least political thing that is in the building.
We had a really big noise that was made this week with regards to a free agent in baseball named Prince Fielder. 9 years, $214 million signing with the Tigers.
Right.
Is that going to be the largest failure in the Motor City since General Motors?
No, actually, Prince Fielder fits in with the Tigers. The problem is that there are people around him that don't fit. They're going to have to move Cabrera back over to third base, which is a place he hasn't played, a lot. But we'll see how that works out. Prince, they'll work around it. I mean, the fact is that Prince took the money and he'll definitely produce. There's no question to produce in Detroit. And one of the great things is they have one of the best managers in baseball in Jim Leland. Jim Leland probably gets the most out of his players and is capable of taking and rigging a lineup that just makes it work, and that's the fun part of it. So I think in having Jim Leland there is an advantage, and having Prince Fielder on the team, they needed a bat. A lot of people were speculating, do they go out and get Carlos Pena or Johnny Damon, and they spend $214 million and a 9-year contract on Prince Fielder. And the interesting part of the contract, because I was familiar with what the Nationals were with, and the Nationals bidding in there was money-wise was relatively. The point was they had opt-out clauses, and basically what turned this deal to Detroit was Detroit went to 9 years, which was a year longer than what the Nationals were going to do. They had no opt-outs, so basically that's a guaranteed $214 million over a 9-year period.
Oh, it's going to be a very interesting.
And he'll hit a lot of home runs, and I mean, his dad was big there, and look, Mike Ilitch is a wonderful owner. I mean, he spends money, and he does. If you're a fan of sports in Detroit, Mike Ilitch always, reaches in his pocket and pulls out the cash to make him a winner. And I gotta think that the Tigers, who already were a prohibitive favorite in the Central Division of the American League, now are the difference between them and everybody else in that division is gotten light years away from it.
Yeah,
if you put the Fielder signing, the American League at this point now is really a monster, because you've got Texas, you've got the Angels, you've got the Tigers, the Red Sox, and the Yankees, and the Rays, and so you've got a lot of people in there who have phenomenal lineups. Where now finishing, it used to be the team that finished second in the East was the team that automatically pretty much got in. Well, that's not necessarily going to be the case now.
Well, one team that definitely has life a lot tougher now in the AL Central is the Royals. They're fielding a lot of their players on their team in the early 20-somethings. It definitely got a lot tougher for them to even compete. I don't know how they're even going to come to spring training with the notion and the knowledge that Prince Fielder is in their division with the Detroit Tigers and making them a lot better of a team.
Yeah, but think about it. If we said the same thing about, look at what happened. The thing that Kansas City's done is they've taken the Tampa Bay template, and they've taken it to quite there yet, but they're building a really nice little team that will be competitive. They'll be able to supplant the Tigers' problem, but they could be a surprise team, and they could be a team that could drive a lot of folks crazy, because they are a very talented young team. So, that's, look at the Tampa Bay situation. They have a strong pitching staff. They were able to sign Carlos Pena back, which won't hurt them, and they're probably going to make a trade or two, because they have the ability to do that, to get themselves a shortstop and perhaps even another bat. So here's a team with a payroll of, $50 million that will likely, cause the Yankees and the Red Sox grief again in the Eastern Division. And so while the Tigers are absolutely the prohibitive favorite in the Central, you've got an improved Cleveland team, and you've got a good little team in Kansas City that could get better. So, I mean, that's the fun thing of baseball, is that you have the super team, but you never know who's going to get out hot and get out there and drive you crazy. Because I think that last year at this time, we pretty much had the Phillies and the Red Sox in the World Series. Well, that didn't work out so well.
Right.
So, we'll see how it works out now, and I think that absolutely the Tigers have gotten better, but I think the fun part, as I say, about all the sports, and specifically baseball because it's such a long grind, is you never know who's going to get hurt, and you never know, whether your pitching's going to come through for you or it will work out. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great season with all of these, the movement that we've had in baseball this year.
Speaking of movement, the entire Los Angeles Dodgers are looking to be moved to a buyer, something that's turned into a billionaire's bonanza. The Dodgers employ two of the best players in baseball, and they're barely a 500 team. Why?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the culture of the franchise. I mean, the Dodgers at one point in time obviously were one of the premier franchises in baseball, and I think that what the McCord situation did was it made it fun to go to Dodger baseball games anymore. So the fans didn't show up. The players had a feeling of, this just isn't a fun place to be. It's not a fun place to play. And so you kind of get that, you kind of get it in your head as a player that, I'm playing for a paycheck and I want to come out here and do this, but what, are the fans behind me? Where's, what's going on here? And, it was a very unstable circumstance. I think that what we're going to see with the new Dodger ownership is hopefully stability. And if you have stability with strong ownership, you're going to see what happened. I mean, look what happened with Texas. Texas had languished for years and years and years. They came out of bankruptcy and right into the playoffs because they got strong ownership and they got strong leadership out of President in there of Nolan Ryan, and then the ownership willing to spend, and they got that deal of $1.7 billion for 20 years with Fox. So you expect the Dodgers will get a deal equal to, if not better, than the Aints, which puts them at probably $3 billion in television money coming, flush with cash. There'll be people going back to Dodger Stadium, which is a fantastic place to go watch a baseball game. So I think that once that we see new ownership group is, and there's 3 or 4 very good ones out there, that Dodgers themselves, had they been a little bit quicker to get to the sale, the Dodgers may very well have been in on the Prince Fielder deal.
Well, that's definitely
or the Albert Pujols deal. So,
right.
I mean, certainly they will be in a circumstance to have money, and I think, as you say, I mean, it's all franchises go through peaks and valleys, and fortunately for the Dodgers and Dodger fans, the peaks and valleys of the McCoy family feud was something that was a take, whether you're on the field or whether you were in the stands.
Now, it's going to be a lot of interesting questions that are yet to be answered with regards to the Dodgers, with Cuban, O'Malley, and all the others who are in there for the bidding. But it was announced this week, it was made official this week, Jorge Posada retired from the Yankees, a lifelong Yankee, 17 seasons in the big leagues, all spent with the New York Yankees. He spurned what tends to end up being a nomadic lifestyle of these different aging players. And with his numbers, a career .273 batting average, 25 home runs shy of 300, and just over 1,000 RBIs. Does it have enough weight for him as a catcher for a Hall of Fame argument?
I think you have the argument, but I don't think that one of the things that goes to his advantage is one, playing in New York, and the other is that the writers like him. So those are two very strong things that are going to help him. The numbers, I don't know. The numbers are close, and we'll see. But I think that eventually, I think Sada will make it into the Hall of Fame. But he's certainly not a first lock. It's gonna take some time. But as a catcher, he totally embodied what went on and how the Yankees situation went. And as you say, he came up with that whole class, the Bernie Williams group, and Derek Jeter, and that whole Yankee team that was for 5 championships.
Now, of course, moving now to the NFL, what everybody wants to know. First question off the bat, because we know you as the business side of sports, how big will this Super Bowl rematch how big will the ratings be with what the NFL, kind of what they wanted when it came to the championship games? They wanted the Giants and the Patriots because the rematch, a lot of people will remember what happened a few years ago. It's still fresh in even the casual fans' memory as to where this rivalry has taken, what turns it has gone through, and what do you see as the outcome from viewership-wise come Super Bowl, or rather cold pizza Monday morning?
Well, I think, we'll be probably in the top 5 rated Super Bowls of all time. I think that,
wow.
The compelling storylines of Eli Manning and of Tom Brady. I mean, you've got the Giants' defense versus a Patriot offense. Has been very workmanlike and almost surgical in their execution throughout the season. And you've got Eli Manning, who each time he plays seems to get closer and closer to becoming one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. So I think that to me, I would at this point feel that ratings-wise, you're going to see a team, as I said, top 5 Super Bowl rating, because it is two very recognizable franchises with 2 very recognizable quarterbacks, which that in itself usually draws the audience in. Plus, then you've got the fact that back in 2008, these 2 teams played, as you said, to one of the most exciting Super Bowl finishes of all time. So, everybody likes to see sequels, so we're about to see a sequel in the Super Bowl.
Now, a lot of people were making a whole big deal, myself included, with regards to the LSU-Alabama rematch to decide the BCS title. However, a lot of these same people were rooting for, and now are happy with, the Patriots and the Giants, a rematch from Week 9 of this season. Should the NFL and the BCS just keep everything as is, or what do you see happening with regards to the playoff futures of the way the playoffs are performed?
Well, I mean, you kind of got apples and oranges there. I mean, in the case of the NFL, you're going to have games and situations where teams are going to have played there during the course of the season. I mean, that will happen and has happened on a number of occasions throughout Super Bowls in the past, where teams have played each other during the course of the season. I don't think that really weighs much in putting together your Super Pro planning from a strategic standpoint or a coaching standpoint. With regard to what's going on with college football, it's a different situation. I think where I think it's getting closer to Mike Shive, who is the commissioner of the Eastern Conference, whose teams have won the national championship the last 6 consecutive years. Mike had mentioned that he felt that it's time for the +1 concept, which basically would be, the opportunity for the two, basically the 4 best teams in the top 4 teams in the rankings to play 1 against 4 and 2 against 3, and then the winners of those 2 games would play, in essence, would be the national championship game. So we might be able in 15, which is one of the BCS changes, it's the opportunity to change its format. You may see the +1, which is as soon as you get to a playoff.
Well, that'll be heartwarming for those who want that already and have been wanting it and clamoring for it for the last couple of years.
A lot of Oklahoma State fans would enjoy that.
Oh, definitely. And after I proved to Ari Louis why there's reason to change the BCS format, I think he'll finally concede to that as well. But lastly, before I let you go, the whole Patriots season almost seems kind of like working from a higher order, if you may. It all started, of course, back in July with Meyercraft passing on. But do you see the Pats now as a team of destiny?
Oh, I don't know. I think, the same argument could be made of the Giants. I mean, they were 3 weeks before the end of the season, they'd lost here in Washington. And, they were minutes away from losing a game in Dallas. I mean, so they, there are a lot of are saying that the Giants are to win because they have, they're playing in the same kind of way when they won the Super Bowl against the Patriots back in 2008. So I think you've got 2 teams here who, the destiny situation, playing the destiny card for two totally different reasons. But I think at the end of the day, both teams feel that that they can win this game and that they should win this game, and that there's karma on each side, and so that's not bad in that regard. I don't think that one has a corner on the other with regard to destiny, but I think that certainly the Patriots are playing inspired football because Mrs. Kraft and her passion for the game, and in the Giants situation, 6 weeks before all you have to do is go back and start looking at the New York Post and New York Daily News, and take a look, back 4 or 5 weeks before the end of the season to find out people getting off Tom Coughlin as, will he be back next year? When is Eli Manning going to be a quality quarterback? And all of these things are being written, back in 4 or 5 weeks before the end of the season.
Right.
So, I think that destiny and karma are mutually on each side for totally different reasons. In the case of the Patriots, it's more of a Myra. We want to win one for you, versus the Giants situation of 4 weeks ago nobody in this town believed that we could be anything, and now we're one step away from winning a Super Bowl. So I think that 2 totally different tracks. Both feel they have karma on their side.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun to, of course, watch Super Bowl, see what's going to happen. Both these teams don't really like each other that much, and it seems like we have a new rivalry almost that's been brewing over the last couple of years. Of course, the Patriots want to play for their boss's owner, and the Giants want to prove all the doubters wrong. Jim, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to have to let you go.
It's always a pleasure. You have a Shabbos.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom to all the listeners, and as always, it's a treat chatting with, and we'll have some fun next day.
Sounds like a plan. Jim, thanks so much for coming on, and Shabbat shalom.
Always a pleasure.
That was Jim Williams from the Washington Examiner. And I'm going to skip a commercial break and go right in here. We got a caller on the line. Caller, you're on Louis Live, the OCG edition.
Yeah, the OCG edition. First of all, thanks for coming out to my show. This is Dave. How are you?
Hey, Dave, how you doing out there?
Good. How you doing?
Always doing well. Having a great time here in the Holy Land. It's too bad that it sounds like you're really far away in probably the old country, I'll presume.
Yes, I am in the old country right now. But, I mean, as sad as it is to be in the old country, the one thing that the old country does bring is football at normal hours. So I watched, when the Giants game finished the other night, it was at a normal hour, and I was very happy about that.
Well, normalcy is all relative, and for some people, normal would consist of the 1 to 4 a.m. slot segment. So, hey, don't hate on all of us.
No, I don't hate on all of you guys, and I did it for many, many years. And then unfortunately, when I had to wake up in the morning for work, after sleeping a few hours, and especially if your team lost, and that's the worst. I mean, luckily that wasn't the case with my Patriots, but especially if your team lost, there was nothing worse than that. I remember the Super Bowl in this February 2008, the last Patriots-Giants match, and oh my goodness, that was one of the worst things because I was leading a team group at the time, and the game finished at about 6 o'clock in the morning. Then I had an hour and a half to sleep before Shacharit with the group, so I was not a happy camper.
Well, your Patriots are back now in the big game, taking on, as you so aptly mentioned, the New York Giants yet again in their second meeting in a number of years. And we have the some people would want to call it the unholy trinity between the owner Robert Kraft. Some people the only people that like him are those in the New England area, Coach Bill Belichick, and of course Tom Terrific in their quarterback, Tom Brady. What do you see is happening with the Patriots? What are the keys for them to be successful against the New York Giants come Super Bowl Sunday?
Well, believe it or not, the one thing that's very interesting about this Patriots team is that, they played an okay game against Baltimore over the weekend. We can discuss that, we can merit that, but, they essentially beat a team. They beat the Broncos earlier in the playoffs, but you know what? The AFC was weak this year, and they didn't have much competition. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, aside from the fact that they have the holy trinity of Bob Kraft, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady, and a couple tight ends that nobody's figured out how to cover, we don't know a whole lot about the Patriots. We actually know a lot more about the Giants than we do the Patriots. We do know the Patriots are a little bit weak on defense, and we also know the Belichickian scheme, which is, never do the same thing each week. So, and the one thing we know is that we won't see anything that we've seen from them yet. But what happened was part of the reason why the Giants won the last time, and also in the spring, earlier in the season, is because of their pass rush. And I think everybody knows that. And good for the Giants. They had that horrible losing streak in the middle of the season. But what they did is finally, when they got healthy, just at the end of the season, and with Omenura and Justin Tuck, the key to the game is if the Patriots can stop the Giants' pass rush or adjust to it, and that's going to mean Tom Brady getting the ball quickly. Plays aren't going to be able to develop very quickly down the field, or even in these quick slant crossing routes that the Patriots like to run. They're going to have to get rid of the ball very quickly and neutralize the Giants' pass rush in order to win this game.
Well, we know in the last Super Bowl that is what rattled Tom Terrific. He ended up being not that terrific, more like terrifically terrible, because the Giants were able to generate a pass rush without having to blitz early and often. Now, with this Super Bowl, do you see the Giants with what they bring to the table and on the defensive side and the Patriots with what they bring to the table on the offensive line? Who do you see winning that battle?
I wish I could tell you. I can speak as a Patriots fan for all the other previous seasons. And I'll tell you about my take on the Giants in a minute, but this is a Patriots team that I've never felt less confident about. Not that I don't think they can win, but out of all of their previous Super Bowl teams or teams that maybe should have gone to the Super Bowl, this is probably their worst one of their dominant teams. So I couldn't tell you how good they really are, or, how they're going to exactly stack up. The one thing that we do know, I think this Giants team is much more stacked than the one from a few years ago. their offensive weapons in Manningham and Cruz, and their just ability to get down the field. And, Bradshaw and what's that other guy's name? That other running back. They're running
Jacobs.
They're running hard, and they're so big. It's so hard to stop them. And especially if there's a mix, you can't just sit back and neutralize, like, let's say, Tim Tebow. Okay, give up your 5 yards to him, but, prevent anything down the field. You have to prevent the deep threat. You have to prevent the middle. You have to prevent these, guys that even if they gain 3 yards physically, they're going to knock you over and get another 3, 4, and, end up with anywhere between a 5 and 6 yard game if they make it to the line of scrimmage,
Well, here's the thing with what happened in the last matchup in Week 9 where the Giants beat the Patriots 24-20 on a very reminiscent drive from the Super Bowl where Eli led the Big Blue down the field at the end of the game. What the Giants had, or rather what the Patriots did not allow the Giants to have, was more than one reception of over 20 yards. It was a 23-yard pass to Victor Cruz. However, the Giants were not playing with Hakeem Nicks. This go-around, the Giants are going to have their trio trifecta of receivers, and we know that the Patriots DBs bend but don't break, but essentially are not as good as they try to build themselves. How is the defensive genius of a mind, Bill Belichick, going to be able to compensate for the lack of ability at times for some of his DBs?
Well, first of all, you're absolutely right about Knicks and that game and everything that's going to happen. And it is a terrible mismatch, but they're going to compensate is actually what people haven't been talking about with the Patriots, but they've been essentially dominant not just in the playoffs, but probably the last 5 weeks of the season. And that's the Patriots front seven. Everybody talks about, or everybody's forgotten to talk about how the Patriots last year were a 3-4 press coverage team. Now they're a 4-3 man coverage team. Yeah, that's affected the way the corners have played, although I feel they've gotten better. But all of a sudden, the front seven has gotten healthy and started to gel, and they've been starting to generate pressure on the quarterback. Flacco was under a lot of pressure last week, and the Ravens have seemingly a good line. They weren't allowing Ray Rice to get anywhere. They're going to have to neutralize the running game. And they're going to have to make Eli Manning jump. They're going to have to make him move. They can't let him sit and get comfortable. And if they do that, that's the only way they're going to be able to neutralize their or the Giants' strength and the Patriots' weakness in the secondary.
Well, we saw last week with Eli against San Francisco's really, really good pass defense. He got rattled, banged, bruised, but yet not broken. I believe it was 21 times he got knocked down, 6 times he was sacked, and yet he was still able to lead his team to victory. How are the Patriots, what do they have to do beyond just the regular rush to passer, get in his face, knock out his lanes quickly? What do they have to do, perhaps a little bit more, that extra oomph, to get Eli, knock him off his game, especially because this is in Indianapolis, the house that Peyton built. His family, friends are all around, and he's going to want to put on a big show, a good game for them.
Right. I agree with you. I'll tell you what, the Patriots are going to have to do this the same way the Giants did this with the 49ers. And I think that's also why this is such an intriguing matchup, because both from the coaching level, maybe not necessarily in X's and O's, but in the mentality and the quarterback play, and I don't care, you have to say it now, Eli Manning is an elite quarterback, and he played like one, is essentially you play smart, and you play chess, and you wait for the opportunities, and you don't force anything, and just wait for, I don't want to say wait for something to happen, but, bide your time, make some plays on the field, not necessarily that someone's going to break first, but, continue that chess game, and I think Tom Brady and Eli can do that with each other all day long, so the Patriots are going to have to do that without making the mistake. I think, when it comes defensively, one thing that you didn't necessarily see is, I forget that guy's name on the San Fran team, who essentially, he's a defensive end, and essentially pushed the tackle into the quarterback a few weeks ago. I remember that with the Saints. Justin Rogers, I don't know, it's not so important, but essentially it's the 49ers' strength on the blitzing was coming off the ends, not directly up the middle. I think the Patriots are going to have to come directly at the middle from Peyton, essentially in his direct snap line, and essentially make him go laterally. And I think that's the only way they're going to be able to knock him off his game. Come at him, punch him in the mouth, and force him to move side to side. And when he does that, assuming there's not so much he doesn't have so much time to extend the play, which we all know he can do. that's essentially how he won the previous Super Bowl. I think that's the strategy. Come straight up the gut, straight up the middle.
Well, the Giants don't have David Tyree on their team right now. He's retired, sitting comfortably perhaps on a couch somewhere in the States. They don't have that X factor to make that one-handed...
Well, David Tyree wasn't an X factor. He just happened to make the biggest catch of his life. I mean, nobody on that was studying the game film, like, in preparation for that game, like, oh my God, they have David Tyree. You know, nobody was thinking that. You know.
Well, he was that that receiver that kind of complemented Amani Toomer and the other receivers that they had. The one that they didn't really talk about. And yes, as you said, happened to be at the right place at the right time and really catapulted his career off the field. And he capitalized on that. What is the X factor, or who is the X factor in this game that we should look out for?
Well, I think first of all, like I said, we know a lot more about this Giants team. We know a lot of what they're good at, who their personnel is, and what they can do, and they're very dangerous. And I think Bill Belichick likes the fact that we don't know much about this Patriots team, and not once has there ever been the same strategy, against a game. If, Wes Welker has 10 receptions one week, it'll all go to Gronkowski the next week, or Deion Branch the next week, or they'll go Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis in the running game. Or even there's one game, Chad Ochocinco, is over a couple hundred yards, over 100 yards, and he can come up with some big catches. He himself is another story. It's going to come from an unlikely source. The one thing that you can't quite totally neutralize Gronkowski and Hernandez. Yeah, you can neutralize one, but the other will still be effective. And then, then you're leaving Welker open. But, Welker is certainly not a secret, about what he can and can't do. It's going to come down to, on Patriots on offense, there's going to have to be somewhat of a new strategy, going to a new player, whether it means, having things go to the deep ball or getting Ocho Cinco. If they're going to want to win this game, it's going to come from a thing that you don't necessarily expect them to see. And they'll have a different strategy, And also, don't forget, they were running the ball a lot more against the Ravens, and nobody expected them to do that. Well, the previous week against the Broncos, they were only throwing the ball. So it's going to be something different. The question, and you're not going to necessarily surprise the Giants, but the source, if they're going to break this game open, will come from somewhere that we have during the playoffs.
Now, before I let you go, Dave, what's your score and who wins?
Oh, I wish. I can't imagine this being a low defensive struggle. Although while the Patriots and the Giants can play one, I see this being a shootout. But everybody said that about the last one. But I honestly believe that this is going to be a shootout. I wish I could pick against the Patriots, but I can't do that. And while I'm objective to a point, not a big enough point, I'm going to have to say the Patriots 31, the Giants 29.
All right, well, we'll see what happens with that game. Dave, thanks for calling in, and have a Shabbat Shalom.
You too. Be well.
All the best now. That was Dave calling in from the States. Now, it's going to be a fun game when it gets down to Super Bowl Sunday in a week and a half. Definitely going to be a lot of fun to watch when you're going to get yourself some wings, whether you're going to get yourself a nice big bowl of guacamole dip, as it is the unofficial guacamole holiday. Nonetheless, this is going to be a fantastic game. There's a lot of intriguing matchups, a lot of intriguing various scenarios, situations that can and likely will present themselves. And talking about X Factor or X Factors with Dave just a moment ago, I'm actually going to have to go along the lines and say it would not shock me if Deion Branch turns into that X Factor. He's Mr. Reliable, the old hand that the Patriots have. Been around the team for a long time, came back, and pretty much picked up where he left off, and it's gonna be intense. It's gonna be a lot of fun, but it looks like we have another caller on the line. And caller, you're on Louis Live, the SCG edition. Caller? Caller, you there? Looks like it's a prank call. Thanks very much, caller, for attempting at that. A lot of fun. Nonetheless, this is that time of the evening. That's all for tonight. God bless and good night.
You're tuned in to the only all sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Hey folks, Kagan here. As you know, I'm always staying on top of the fitness world, keeping up with current trends. One form of exercise that's been around for ages and is currently being rediscovered is suspension bodyweight training. So if you're looking for a way to get in shape, improve your health, and train your body to move in new ways, then the X1 by Israel Gym Systems is for you. Find out more on our website at www.israelgym.com or look for our page on Facebook, Israel Gym Systems X1. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.